Ladies and gentlemen, in the world of Japanese anime, few stories capture the essence of fear, hope, and human struggle like Attack on Titan. From the very first moments, we are thrust into a world where towering walls confine the last remnants of humanity, a world where survival is a daily battle and every shadow hides potential doom. The first Titan attack is not just a spectacle, it is a visceral experience. Buildings crumble, smoke fills the skies, and Eren Yeager, a young boy full of dreams and curiosity, witnesses the destruction of his home and the loss of his mother. Japanese anime has a unique power to immerse us in emotion, and Attack on Titan uses this masterfully, blending slow-motion sequences, dramatic camera angles, and symbolic imagery to show not only physical destruction but the crushing weight of helplessness. Humanity's fragile existence behind the walls becomes a character in itself, reflecting the fear, ignorance, and longing for freedom that permeates every life inside. From this first attack, the series establishes a rhythm, tension, trauma, and resilience intertwined in a way that leaves viewers both captivated and unsettled. When we first enter the world of Attack on Titan, we are immediately confronted with a reality that is both visually breathtaking and emotionally devastating. The anime wastes no time in establishing the stakes. Humanity is confined behind massive walls, living in what appears to be safety, yet this safety is only an illusion. The walls themselves are more than stone and mortar, they are symbols of both protection and imprisonment. In Japanese anime, the environment is often a reflection of the character's inner world, and here, the towering structures represent fear, confinement, and the fragility of human existence. Long, sweeping shots show tiny human figures scurrying beneath the massive walls, emphasizing just how small and vulnerable they are in a world where death can arrive at any moment. The setting communicates a constant sense of tension, reminding viewers that danger is omnipresent and that life behind the walls is anything but secure. The first encounter with the Titans amplifies this feeling dramatically. The colossal Titan's appearance is not rushed, the anime stretches each frame, lingering on collapsing buildings, screaming civilians, and the sheer scale of the monster. Through these dramatic sequences, viewers do not just see the horror, they feel it. The smoke, fire, and dust that cloud the city symbolize chaos and uncertainty, mirroring the emotional devastation experienced by Eren Yeager, whose world is shattered in a single, horrifying moment. The animation captures his raw reaction, wide-eyed disbelief, trembling hands, and frozen expression, all combining to make the audience intimately share his trauma. In Japanese anime, such careful attention to visual storytelling ensures that the fear, shock, and grief are not abstract, they are fully tangible. Beyond the immediate destruction, the series emphasizes the psychological weight of living in such a constrained world. Even before the Titan attack, life inside the walls is marked by subtle tension. Streets may appear calm, and children may play, but the ever-present height of the walls looms above, reminding everyone of the fragile illusion of safety. Japanese anime frequently uses environment and perspective to communicate emotion, and here, even ordinary daily scenes are infused with unease. Long shots of the city highlight both the beauty and the oppression of life within the walls, creating a visual metaphor. Humanity is protected, yes, but at the cost of freedom. The animation makes it clear that survival comes with restrictions, that comfort can become complacency, and that fear is a constant, shaping not just the actions but the very mentality of the people. The social hierarchy within the walls also reinforces this dynamic. Those living closer to the outer edge face higher risks, while those in inner districts enjoy relative safety. This division is not only practical but symbolic, reflecting how fear organizes society and perpetuates inequality. Soldiers, trained to face the Titans, risk their lives daily, while civilians who remain safely inside the inner walls may deride their efforts as unnecessary. The anime emphasizes this contrast through expressive animation, dramatic lighting, and careful framing. Characters are shown in miniature against towering walls, highlighting both the physical and social power imbalances. Fear, here, is both a literal and figurative barrier, conditioning behavior, beliefs, and ambitions. At the center of this world is Eren, whose very perspective challenges the walls' illusion of security. Unlike those who accept their confinement, Eren's curiosity and rebellion are immediately apparent. His desire to see the world beyond the walls, coupled with his disdain for blind compliance, is visually emphasized in anime through exaggerated expressions, intense close-ups of his eyes, and kinetic movement that conveys impatience and rage. Through Eren, the audience is invited to question the price of safety and to consider the meaning of true freedom. The clash between the imposed security of the walls and the human desire to live without constraint sets the tone for the entire series. It is not just a story about monsters, it is a story about humanity confronting fear, limitation, and the unknown, and Japanese anime uses every tool, animation, perspective, sound, and pacing, to make this confrontation unforgettable. In essence, Attack on Titan is a masterclass in world building, using the environment, societal structure, and protagonist perspective to immerse viewers in a tense, emotionally charged reality. The walls are not merely obstacles, they are characters in their own right, reflecting the fears, limitations, and hopes of those they enclose, establishing a foundation of suspense, empathy, and anticipation that drives the entire narrative forward. As the story of Attack on Titan unfolds, the focus shifts from the sheer terror of survival to the evolution of its characters under extreme pressure. Japanese anime excels at portraying growth through a combination of internal struggle, visual storytelling, and symbolic representation, and this series does so brilliantly. Eren Yeager, who begins as a wide-eyed, impulsive boy driven by anger and grief, gradually transforms into a young soldier bearing the weight of impossible responsibility. Every encounter with the Titans, every battlefield, and every personal loss pushes him to confront not only external threats but also the moral and emotional complexity of the world around him. Anime allows the audience to experience this evolution in an immersive way, showing the nuances of character development through body language, facial expressions, and the interplay of light and shadow, rather than relying solely on dialogue. The relationships between characters are central to this evolution. Mikasa Ackerman, Armin Arlert, and others do not simply accompany Eren, they act as mirrors, counterpoints, and catalysts for his growth. Mikasa's unwavering loyalty and combat mastery contrast sharply with Eren's impulsivity, illustrating how discipline and raw emotion can coexist and balance one another. Armin's intelligence and empathy provide yet another perspective, demonstrating that survival is as much about strategy and understanding as it is about raw strength. Japanese anime often emphasizes these relationships by using visual storytelling, subtle glances, brief gestures of care, and shared moments of hesitation communicate volumes about trust, loyalty, and emotional bonds. Attack on Titan uses this technique masterfully, ensuring that the audience feels the weight and depth of these connections. Character development in the series is inseparable from trauma. Every death, betrayal, and failure leaves a mark, visually and emotionally. The animation captures these scars in detail, slow-motion sequences of trembling hands, lingering shots of devastated landscapes, and close-ups of eyes reflecting loss and determination. These moments go beyond narrative function, they are a visceral representation of the cost of survival. In Japanese anime, such depictions allow the audience to empathize deeply, making the growth of characters like Eren, Mikasa, and Armin feel earned rather than superficial. Trauma becomes a lens through which the viewers understand the motivations and decisions of each character, highlighting that strength is not merely physical but psychological and emotional as well. A critical aspect of this keynote is the moral ambiguity faced by the characters. Heroes in anime are rarely purely virtuous, and Attack on Titan embraces this truth fully. Eren's choices, particularly as he gains Titan powers, force him and those around him to grapple with complex questions of justice, freedom, and the consequences of vengeance. Every decision has repercussions, whether it is protecting some at the expense of others or striking back in ways that may perpetuate cycles of violence. The animation emphasizes these dilemmas by contrasting moments of reflective calm with chaotic, high-stakes battle sequences. Lighting, pacing, and framing all reinforce the internal struggle, showing that moral complexity is as integral to survival as combat skill. The progression from fear to agency is another defining feature of this stage of the story. Initially, the characters are reactive, responding to tragedy as it unfolds. Over time, they evolve into individuals capable of making deliberate, sometimes painful, decisions about their futures. This transformation is mirrored in the animation. Characters move from tight, constraining spaces to open landscapes, symbolizing the gradual reclaiming of agency and control over their lives. Every battle, every loss, and every quiet moment of reflection contributes to a nuanced understanding of identity, purpose, and responsibility. In Japanese anime, such evolution is often depicted visually, allowing the audience to feel the character's growth rather than simply being told about it. Attack on Titan demonstrates that the series is as much about psychological and moral development as it is about action and spectacle. Through its richly layered characters, intricate relationships, and visual storytelling, the anime illustrates that resilience, courage, and growth emerge not in spite of adversity, but because of it. The evolution of Eren, Mikasa, Armin, and others shows that true strength lies in navigating trauma, moral ambiguity, and the profound complexity of the human heart. The world of Attack on Titan is more than a backdrop, it is a living, breathing character in its own right, and the Titans themselves are not just monsters, they are reflections of fear, human nature, and the consequences of isolation. In Japanese anime, environments often mirror the psychological states of the characters, and here, the colossal walls, barren landscapes, and looming titans serve as constant reminders of vulnerability and fragility. From the very beginning, the Titans' immense size, grotesque expressions, and unpredictable movements are designed to evoke terror. They are not merely physical threats, they are symbolic manifestations of humanity's fear of the unknown, the uncontrollable, and the inevitable. Every encounter with a Titan forces the characters, and the audience, to confront the overwhelming power of forces beyond human comprehension, a hallmark of anime storytelling that merges spectacle with deep emotional resonance. The Titans' role evolves throughout the series, shifting from mindless predators to complex symbols of power, history, and morality. Early on, they are presented as pure destruction, colossal, unstoppable, and almost surreal in their form. The animation emphasizes this through exaggerated scale, erratic motion, and cinematic angles that make human figures seem fragile in comparison. But as the story progresses, it becomes clear that the Titan's existence is tied to a larger narrative, one that involves human agency, ancient secrets, and inherited conflict. Japanese anime often uses monsters as metaphors, and in Attack on Titan, the Titans embody the externalized struggles of humanity, oppression, vengeance, and the cyclical nature of hatred. By giving them layers of history and connection to the protagonists, the anime deepens their symbolic weight, making them both terrifying and tragically human. The interaction between humans and Titans also highlights the psychological and emotional stakes of the story. Each encounter is more than a battle, it is a test of courage, strategy, and moral decision-making. Characters experience intense fear, panic, and doubt, which are conveyed through animation techniques such as tilted camera angles, rapid zooms, and slow-motion sequences that stretch the horror of the moment. These cinematic choices immerse viewers in the character's perspective, allowing them to feel the same vertigo, desperation, and adrenaline that define life and death confrontations. In Japanese anime, such visual exaggeration is a powerful tool for translating internal experiences into tangible imagery, making the audience not just observers but participants in the unfolding drama. Another critical dimension is the symbolic evolution of the Titans alongside the characters. Early Titans are faceless threats, representing pure chaos, but as Eren and others discover their origins, the line between human and monster blurs. This revelation forces the audience to confront uncomfortable questions: who is truly the enemy? How does fear shape perception? Japanese anime often thrives on moral ambiguity, and Attack on Titan leverages the Titans to explore the complexities of vengeance, justice, and inherited trauma. Each Titan's presence is layered with narrative meaning, from representing oppression and historical manipulation to serving as catalysts for the character's emotional and ethical growth. The animation mirrors this complexity, blending moments of horror with fleeting glimmers of empathy, reflecting the nuanced interplay between fear, understanding, and humanity. The environment itself also reinforces thematic depth. The massive walls, once symbols of protection, become prisons of ignorance and control. Open battlefields beyond the walls juxtapose the narrow streets and claustrophobic interiors within, visually communicating the tension between confinement and liberation. Japanese anime often uses spatial storytelling to convey psychological states, and Attack on Titan masterfully integrates scale, perspective, and environmental detail to enhance the narrative. When Titans breach these spaces, chaos unfolds not just physically but emotionally, transforming every location into a stage for suspense, moral reckoning, and character evolution. Demonstrates that Titans in the world they inhabit are far more than narrative obstacles, they are mirrors of human nature, symbols of fear, and instruments of storytelling. Through dynamic animation, symbolic imagery, and immersive visual design, Attack on Titan transforms every Titan encounter into a lesson about vulnerability, morality, and the consequences of historical cycles. The Titan's presence amplifies the tension, deepens character arcs, and conveys the haunting idea that the greatest battles are often not fought against monsters alone but against the fears, prejudices, and moral dilemmas within ourselves. As Attack on Titan approaches its final arcs, the story evolves from survival and fear into a profound exploration of freedom, choice, and the moral weight of every action. In Japanese anime, climaxes are rarely just about battles, they are reflections of internal struggles, philosophical dilemmas, and the consequences of human decisions, and Attack on Titan exemplifies this beautifully. The concept of freedom is presented not as a simple goal but as a complex, sometimes paradoxical pursuit. From the very beginning, freedom is a dream for Eren Yeager, a vision of breaking beyond the walls, defeating the Titans, and reclaiming humanity's lost world. Yet as the story unfolds, it becomes clear that freedom carries a price, one measured not only in lives lost but in the erosion of innocence, moral compromise, and the weight of responsibility. The anime style accentuates this evolution, using color, pacing, and framing to reflect the psychological burden that freedom demands. Eren's journey toward understanding freedom is both symbolic and tragic. As a child, freedom was fire in his eyes, a simple call to break barriers and fight against oppressors. This youthful idealism is expressed through dynamic animation, swift movements, exaggerated expressions, and intense lighting that mirrors his fiery determination. But as he uncovers the truth behind the Titans, the walls, and the cycles of hatred that define his world, freedom transforms into something heavier and darker. Eren's movements slow, his gaze hardens, and the music shifts to somber tones, reflecting a more measured, yet more absolute, approach to achieving his vision. Japanese anime often conveys character evolution visually rather than through dialogue alone, and here, the subtle changes in Eren's posture, expression, and timing tell the story of a boy growing into a man burdened with impossible choices. The anime also presents contrasting interpretations of freedom through its ensemble of characters. Some, like Armin, pursue understanding, diplomacy, and coexistence, believing freedom can be achieved without unnecessary bloodshed. Others, like Eren in his later form, see freedom as liberation at any cost, even if it means destruction and moral compromise. Mikasa represents loyalty and personal choice, the tension between love and duty, illustrating that freedom is multifaceted and deeply personal. These varying perspectives are animated through deliberate contrasts, light versus dark palettes, open versus confined spaces, and still moments versus chaotic action, allowing the audience to feel the philosophical tension alongside the characters. In Japanese anime, group dynamics are often used to explore ethical questions, and Attack on Titan excels at showing that freedom is not a singular, universal concept, it is shaped by experience, loss, and perspective. Fate and determinism play a crucial role in this keynote. The series frequently blurs the line between free will and inevitability, particularly through the concept of inherited memories and visions of the future. The narrative suggests that certain outcomes may be preordained, forcing characters to grapple with the paradox of striving for freedom within constraints they may never fully escape. Anime often uses visual motifs to reinforce these ideas, and Attack on Titan employs mirrored scenes, repeating imagery, and symbolic framing to create a sense that history echoes itself. The audience is made to question whether freedom is an achievable goal or an ongoing struggle against forces larger than oneself. The final battles and revelations highlight that freedom is inseparable from consequence. Every choice carries ramifications not only for the individual but for entire societies. In Japanese anime, climactic sequences are designed to balance spectacle with moral reflection, and here, explosive battles coexist with quiet, introspective moments. Close-ups of faces, lingering shots of devastated landscapes, and deliberate pacing allow the audience to absorb the cost of every action. Freedom is portrayed not as liberation without consequence but as a responsibility that weighs heavily on those who dare to claim it. Attack on Titan is not merely a story of titans and walls but a meditation on freedom, morality, and the human condition. Through expressive animation, layered character arcs, and philosophical storytelling, the series portrays freedom as a paradox, desired, fought for, but never without sacrifice. It leaves the audience with the haunting realization that the truest battles are often fought not against external enemies but within the human heart, and that understanding, empathy, and courage define the ultimate meaning of freedom in a world shaped by fear, history, and war. In the end, Attack on Titan teaches us that freedom, sacrifice, and the strength to face the unimaginable are the forces that define what it truly means to be human.